Morning, peeps. Happy Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. I'm going to be posting about that later. I have a great client that just shared a little bit of her progress. Anyway, getting off track. Good morning. For those of you that don't know, my name is Erin Harrigan. I am a business coach helping entrepreneurs align results with God's truth. I'm a brand ambassador for the global healthy living brand Arbonne. Good morning, Alice. Great to see you. And I also do some biotech consulting, but I'm coming to you with what I'm now calling Daily Dose. So Daily Dose is a daily live that I do around the topic of success God's way. And I want to invite you, as you're watching this, to also check out the community that I'm building called Success God's Way. It is a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, but you don't have to have your own business to be part of it, but people who really want to seek to build business with God at the center, a God-centered business. And so I want to encourage you to go check that out. But I'm coming to you today with a continuing discussion of setting goals God's way. But before I do that, you may have seen me post about the crazy way I spent my birthday yesterday, trying to get home from Boston. And the crazy thing about it was the weather was simply gorgeous. There was a network outage. So as I was sitting there early and getting some work done, and I got a cancellation of a flight, rebooked on the next flight, got to cancel that flight, had a pity party, had a meltdown in the bathroom quietly, and then booked on another flight. And in the end, I want to tell you the rest of the story. So I was able to rebook on a different airline and get out of there. My oldest daughter, Haley, shout out to Haley, picked me up in DC instead of Baltimore. And so praise Jesus that we live with proximity to both of those airports. And then I came home. And the funny thing is that we had made plans that Haley and I were going to go to dinner. My husband, Brian, officiates high school basketball. So he was going to be refereeing a game and wouldn't be home. And then my daughter, Cameron, because I'm taking her back to school in Philly today, we were going to do dinner tonight. So I wasn't expecting anybody to be home. But the best part is that by the time we got home from the airport, Brian was here because his game was canceled. Cameron came home from the plans that she had made to see a friend. And we ended up spending time, the four of us. And it was awesome. It really just ended the day on a beautiful note. And I have to apologize to my family because I was just in such a whirlwind. Good morning, Carson. Good morning, Carol. Around that crazy travel and just a little bit overwhelmed with some of the chaos that I self-created chaos, which I'll talk about in a minute, that I probably was just not in the best mood. But as I look back, it really came together beautifully because all four of us were together, and especially on the last night before Cameron heads back to school. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I'm positive that when I shared my Instagram post yesterday, which I shared onto Facebook as well, about the situation and kind of the silver linings, when I sort of cried out to the Lord and said, okay, where are you in this? Because like, what the heck? I'm sure that there were some people who were thinking, oh, she's such a Pollyanna, like, oh, she finds positive in everything. And thank you, Carol. Yes, his ways are better. Girl, yes, they are. Oh, she finds the positive in everything. You know what, guys? Here's the deal. When you are walking with the Lord, and you have heard me unapologetically share that is my walk with Christ. That's not everybody's story, but it's mine. You find peace in the midst of chaos. And his word says that in this world you will have trouble, but fear not because he's overcome the world. So yeah, in the middle of that craziness, I could have lost it, which I did for a little while, because we're human. But like, I had to really lean in and grab God's hand and say, okay, show me the good in this. Show me the good in this. So I just want to encourage you on that. Okay, so let's get to our topic. So as I mentioned, we're doing, yes, girl. Thank you, Alice. I have been talking to you the last few days from this a reading plan on my YouVersion Bible, which is God and Goals, how to set goals as a Christian. And again, I want to remind you that if you don't identify yourself as a Christian, that's okay. Like, you're welcome here. You're welcome in my Success God's Way. God has called me to be a messenger for this. God has called me to create a business coaching program around this. But it's not excluding anyone. So I just wanted to, sorry, you may be hearing like dings because all my Arbonne 30 healthy living clients are checking in with me this morning, which is so cool. So Jessica had asked yesterday, it's so funny, right? Nothing is an accident. Jessica had asked yesterday basically this question, which came up on today's devotional, which is, how do I make goals happen and not overstep God's will? And, there comes this, if you haven't watched my backstory live on my Success God's Way group, I really encourage you to do that, because it really talks about sort of how I came to this journey of what success looks like for me now in the pursuit of God's purpose. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, and just in life, even if you're not an entrepreneur, we set massive goals, and the world tells us, like, dream big and set massive goals and blah, and then go after them and go make it happen. And you've probably heard me say that I look at this very differently now. I used to look at it as, if it is to be, it's up to me. And now I look at it as, if it is to be, it's up to He. That doesn't mean that absolves me from doing work, but sometimes we will set these goals and then we run ahead of God, and then chaos ensues, and then we're lost, and we're like, oh, God, where are you? So how do we set goals but not run ahead of Him? Because let's face it, He's already gone out ahead of us. And one of the scriptures I shared yesterday, which was Proverbs 16:9, we can make our plans, but He establishes our steps. I mean, ultimately, He's in charge. So how do we set these goals without overstepping the Lord or running out ahead of the Lord? And you know what? He's not expecting perfect progression to our goals. There are going to be peaks and valleys, and as we reach out for those goals. But what He is looking for is for us to continue to lean into Him and surrender to Him as we're doing that. So here we go. You're standing at the starting line and you want to get after these God-led goals, and you're afraid. You're scared to take action on those goals, getting so focused on achieving them that you edge Him out. I don't know if you've ever heard Wayne Dyer talk about ego, but for him, he says or what he used to say was, ego stands for edging God out. And so we don't want to run fast and furious toward these goals and edge God out. So how do you keep your focus on God and achieving your goals at the same time? So the first thing is that all of the right goals will lead you on His path and in His ways, and not away from Him. Well, how do you know they're the right goals? Good morning, John. The reason you know they're the right goals is because you've been tuning in to His word, and you've been praying over those goals with Him. And there is a scripture in here that it is Proverbs 37:4-5. So delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. And then commit your ways to the Lord and trust Him, and He will do it. But here's what we do sometimes is we read that and we say, oh, well, God's going to give me everything that I want. No, guys, this isn't prosperity gospel. But if you're delighting yourself in the Lord, if you're building that relationship with Him, if you're spending that time with Him, good morning, Bree, you're going to find that the desires that are in your heart are the desires He's placed there. And so in my backstory, the desires that were in my heart were Erin driven. And then as I built my relationship with Him, and I accepted Christ in 2014, as you've heard me talk about, the desires for success and what success looked like started to shift. I know I use a lot of hands. And so therefore, I talk a lot about alignment, and my word of 2018 was alignment. And so I think about alignment as sort of a series of, as sort of this cylinder, and it's like, it's got locks. And so as you start to unlock, things can flow through. So as you're aligned to the Lord, the desires that are in your heart begin to shift, and they begin to become the desires He's placed there. Okay. So if you're setting the right goals, which you'll know they're the right goals, and we talked a little bit about that yesterday, because they're the goals that he's given you to set. Secondly, he doesn't intend for you to set a goal and then sit back and coast, right? Like when I say it is up to be, if it is to be, it's up to he. Again, it doesn't absolve us of taking action. He wants you to stay connected to him every step of the way. Ultimately, he is the goal. Ultimately, all of your goals ultimately should lead back to him, to glorify him, to help you show up in the world to reflect his light, which has people turn and interact with you and say, what is this peacefulness about this person? What is this light about this person? I want to know more about that. That leads them into relationship with him. So ultimately, he is the goal. And here's what it looks like to pursue these goals. Just like you would, if you're going on a long road trip, you've got a map, right? And you're constantly checking the map to make sure that you're heading in the right direction. And if you get lost, you might end up on an unfamiliar street, but you pick the map back up, you recalculate the GPS, and you get back on track. God is the GPS. God is the GPS. And he's not concerned, as I said earlier, about whether or not you achieve perfect progress. He wants to know your heart. He wants to know that the progress that you're making is aligned to your surrender to him. Step by step, prayer by prayer, moment by moment, as you seek him, you will stay on that correct path. And the point of it is staying connected to him. Good morning, Melissa. So if you're afraid to take that step into goals, or maybe you've prayed over the goals and you've set the goals, but now you're like, oh, Lord, I don't want to take action and run out ahead of you. Guys, you got to take a step. You got to take a step. When he called me to be the messenger and to really create this idea of being a coach to fellow entrepreneurs and to use the message from my mess to pay it forward and help educate and help guide, I was afraid to take action. And I was afraid to take action for two reasons. One was I was like, nobody's going to listen to me. I don't have a big title. I'm not making six figures from my social marketing business. Who's going to want to have me as a business coach? And I'm not tying this to like monetary math driven results. So who's going to want that? And he kept saying, go do what I've called you to do and let me take care of that. And then the second reason I was afraid to take action is because, I have my Arbonne business and I thought, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? They're going to think I'm abandoning my Arbonne business. So, that Arbonne business must not work. So now she's doing this coaching thing. And maybe there are people that think that. Whatever. I don't care. Because I knew that this is what he had called me to. So you guys, I hope that dropping this in your spirit today really helps you understand that you can set those God-centered goals and then how to go and pursue them in a way, good morning, Deidre, that honors him and serves his people. Because the tagline for me, good morning, Ange, the tagline for me really around Success God's Way is, building business that honors God and serves his people. And so I hope that that what I've shared with you today and yesterday, and then I'm going to continue this topic for the next few days, is really resonating with you. So here's where we're going to close it up because I've been on here too long. Number one, if this resonates with you, please drop a comment, a like, a thumbs up, a smiley, whatever. I just want to make sure that, this is really resonating with those of you who are tuning in. Number two, if you know anyone who could benefit from this, please feel free to share it with them because it's free. And you may know some people that are really struggling with this idea of like, how do I honor God but set goals and build a business, and what does that look like? And then number three, please hop on over to my Success God's Way community. Join the community. We're going to be engaging in great conversation. I'm going to be doing a weekly Facebook Live in there every Sunday night, along with these daily dose lives. But just hop on over there and feel free to share that with anybody as well. And then lastly, if you do know anyone or even yourself that might be looking for some extra hand-holding and could benefit from some coaching on building a God-centered business and aligning results with God's truth, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you, give you an overview of that program, and see if it's the right fit for you or the right fit for your friend, because it's not for everybody, and I know that, but I know that there are people out there that can benefit from it because God's already aligned those people, and I'm looking forward to serving them. So thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow we'll be on part 3 of goal setting God's way. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.